You know when something breaks in your house, a gadget, an appliance, what's the first thing you blame? Probably age, right? Or maybe you dropped it. But what if I told you there's a hidden war happening in your home? A constant, invisible battle with an enemy that never ever sleeps. And it's attacking the tech you depend on every single day.
So, really, think about it for a second. What's the last piece of tech that died on you? Was it your computer, the washing machine? Maybe your AC unit gave up the ghost. And what was the reason? Old age? Some random faulty part? Well, what if the real culprit was something you look at, or I guess look through, every single day?
Yep, it's the air outside, your local climate. That unique mix of heat, cold, humidity, dust, whatever your region throws at you, it's waging a quiet but absolutely relentless war on your most important home systems. And today we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how it's doing it, and, more importantly, how you can actually fight back.
All right, here's what we've got on tap. We're going to head to one of the toughest battlefields for home tech. Then we'll look at the common casualties, what's actually breaking down and why. From there, we'll talk strategy, a survival guide, really. And finally, we'll bring it all home so you can figure out what your hidden enemy is. Sound good? Okay, let's get into it.
All right, so our first stop takes us to Miami Lakes, Florida. I mean, it sounds lovely, right? Subtropical paradise. But for one piece of tech, the humble, hardworking air conditioner, this place is basically a war zone. It's one of the most hostile environments you can imagine for an AC unit.
And this quote just nails it. Losing your air conditioning down there isn't just, an oops, I'm a little warm kind of thing. No, it's a full-blown crisis. We're talking about indoor temperatures becoming dangerous and fast. The stakes, they are incredibly high.
So what exactly makes this place so brutal for an AC? Well, think about it. In most of the country, your HVAC system gets a breather, right? A nice little vacation in the spring and fall. Not in South Florida. Down there, these things are running for basically 11 months straight. There is no off-season. It's like being forced to run a marathon at a sprinter's pace every single day, year after year, with almost zero rest.
And this is where it gets crazy, because it's not just one thing. These climate factors, they team up. It's a coordinated attack. You've got the relentless heat just baking the internal parts. Then you have this oppressive humidity that's perfect for growing algae and causing rust. Then throw in the corrosive salt air blowing in from the ocean, daily thunderstorms zapping the electricals, and oh yeah, a high water table that makes the ground soggy and can actually make the whole unit sink and go off kilter. It's literally an assault from every possible direction.
And the result of all that, well, the numbers don't lie. Nationally, you'd hope to get, 18, maybe 20 years out of an AC system? But in Miami Lakes, you're lucky to get 12 to 15. The climate is literally stealing 5 to 8 years of life from this incredibly expensive and vital piece of equipment.
Okay, so we've identified the attackers. Now let's perform an autopsy, so to speak. Let's look at the specific damage they cause. What are the most common ways these systems actually break down under all this pressure?
Okay, the number one cause of death by far is capacitor failure. Now, the easiest way to think of a capacitor is like the starter in your car. It gives that big jolt of electricity to kickstart the massive compressor and fan motors. The problem is, it lives inside that metal box in the backyard, and under the blazing Florida sun, the inside of that box can get over 140 degrees. These things are, quite literally, being cooked to death. But it's not just a capacitor. Oh no. That crazy humidity, it creates tons of condensation, which is the perfect home for algae. That algae then grows and clogs up the drain lines, which can lead to nasty water damage inside your house. Then you've got the salt and the rain just eating away at the metal coils. And remember that soggy ground? It can make the concrete pad the AC sits on sink, tilting the whole machine and putting a ton of strain on its most important parts. See the pattern? Every single problem traces right back to the environment.
So you see, this isn't just a case of random wear and tear. It's not the machine just getting old. This is a systematic, targeted takedown by the local climate. The heat goes for the electronics, the humidity clogs up the plumbing, the salt and rain corrode the skeleton. It's a full-on assault.
All right, I know, that sounds pretty grim. But don't worry, it's not hopeless. There is absolutely a way to fight back. The key is that you can't just sit back and wait for disaster. You have to go on the offensive with a smart strategy for survival. And it's built on 3 lines of defense. And here's how that strategy breaks down. First, you've got your emergency repair. Let's be real, things are still going to break sometimes, but you can't just lurch from one crisis to the next. That's where step 2 comes in, preventive maintenance. This is the game changer. It's where you actively fight back against what the climate is doing. And finally, step 3 is strategic replacement. This is about being smart and planning to replace your system before it dies a fiery death in the middle of August. It puts you in the driver's seat.
And when we talk about maintenance, we're not just talking about dusting things off. These are targeted counterattacks. You're cleaning the coils to fight back against the pollen and dirt. You're treating the drain lines to kill the algae that the humidity loves so much. You're checking the electrical parts that get hammered by thunderstorms. Every single one of these actions is designed to neutralize a specific threat from the environment.
And here's the bottom line, really. It's all about proactive defense versus reactive disaster recovery. You have to stop thinking of maintenance as just another chore and start seeing it as a smart, strategic defense of your home. A little bit spent on prevention will save you an absolute fortune, not to mention a ton of stress on those emergency calls and having to replace your system years early.
Okay, so right about now you might be thinking, that's great for Florida, but I live in Colorado, or I'm in the desert. But here's the thing. This lesson from Miami, this extreme example, it applies to everyone no matter where you live, because it's time for you to identify your home's hidden enemy.
Look, in Miami, the enemy's weapons are brutal heat and humidity. But what's the weapon in your area? Is it the freezing ice in the dead of winter that's trying to crack your pipes? Is it the superfine dust of the desert that gets into everything and grinds down motors? Maybe it's the super dry air or the high altitude. Every single climate has its own special way of attacking your home. And that, right there, is the big takeaway. Every home, including yours, is in a constant battle with its local environment. The specific enemy might change. It could be ice instead of heat or dust instead of salt, but the principle is exactly the same. The fight is always on.
So I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Go look out your window. Think about your weather, the air, the land around you. What is your home's hidden enemy? And once you've figured that out, what's your battle plan?